Oh, okay. Oh, that's right, because you're already in.
All right. Yeah. Got to get everything else up and running here. The hell? Oh, yeah, because I went live. Yeah, that's right. Somebody in the Discord that I am has a notifications. So when I go live, it sends a message out to the whole Discord. But there's only like 10 people in it. So
or rope or casual has that for me.
Oh, well, I
And
should have him
Sharky.
set it up for me. I guess I didn't. I haven't asked to. I didn't know he was doing that.
Oh yeah, he for me and Sharky, he just like automatically did it. But
Okay.
we're also his moderators, so
Right. Let's see.
he also has a self promotion thing on there. I think it's called self promotion.
Yeah,
So you can always go in there and post that you're streaming.
I guess I should do that. I haven't messed with that.
The computer guy, he does all his TikTok. He promotes all his TikTok stuff
You
in
know,
there.
I
That's
guess
one
I
of the
noticed that.
places.
I watched one thing through there. I should get better at doing this on the fly, but well, if I had a second monitor, that would be. But you know, I even have a controller out. Okay. We got them right out front here. Hopefully everybody hears me. We're doing good. Okay. There. Go back here and rake.
Yeah, and there's not much left.
I was gonna say I was kind of watching it.
This thing is going quicker. I like these rakes. I like this tractor. I like these rakes. I got a new mower.
I do.
It's more like a not a sickle anymore. It's more like a regular.
I saw it. I had to download it before getting in here. So
More like a flat mower, which I don't know if that's what it was. Derek that was more talking about than I think you were. But
I mean, I like the sickles, but yeah, flat you know, it's fine. we don't have to be that authentic, you know.
Well, I can put the sickles back in if we wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, these tractors work a lot better.
Yeah. They have more horsepower. More power. The only thing I don't like about these rakes is they don't they're so long that it's harder to end the rows so that they're like nice and clean.
Yeah, I just kind of screwed up on the end down there, but it'll be fine. When we go to pick it up, it'll just...
I've been as I've been raking, I'm like, well, as long as it's in a row, I guess we'll get it picked up. It's not.
Yeah.
If it messes up the row, I guess it is what it is. We'll get it.
Exactly.
And I got us new plows, but we already had those downloaded. I just brought them to our farm.
Yeah.
So before we create the new field, though, I need to make a road. I wanted to create a road that's going to be on this side of the field. It's going to run parallel with the field.
Well, that was the thing I kind of wondered is like how do you do that? I guess
it's just painting the ground.
Oh, actually doing in that menu where I was planting, placing
Yep.
buildings? Oh, okay.
Yep.
See, I thought, there was only certain equipment that'll do it. Okay, so you're just doing it that, which is fine.
No, they don't. They don't have equipment to actually do that stuff.
Oh,
It's
okay. Ran
train
into the...
editing, is I guess what you call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's
they're
terraforming.
well, they're 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 starting to get, like, there was a modder that just came out with a bunch of stuff like for gold mining that.
Well, that's what I mean.
That
I've heard of
does
that,
it,
so I thought maybe that kind of...
but that's not a regular thing. That's a third party thing.
Oh.
Wow, that
Trying to get it
one's gonna
rigged,
take
and
a
I'm
little bit.
goofing your... Because it's... Yeah, these are... Yeah, not nice. But for...
I'm gonna get Derek's out of the way.
Okay, you got the rest over on that northwest part, I guess.
I got everything in the back.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where the heck we're gonna park these things. I'm running out of. We're gonna
I
have to
can
buy
just be-
ground just so I can park stuff.
I'll do like anything else, just park it in the trees.
I've been
like
parking
Tucker and hide
everything
everything in the trees.
I've been parking it in the grass.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, you back it up to the... Okay, yeah, there you go. I'll spin around and park.
Well, if you park it in the trees, I guess you don't have to worry about the storms damaging anything, as long as the tree don't fall on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we were Tucker, we were cutting down trees, and yeah, it was falling on me.
Okay, we'll grab the loaders out of the barn and pick it all up and throw it in the fermenter.
Yep.
Make that money. The other one, there's one on the other side of,
Oh, I guess
but it's facing the other direction.
Yeah, I thought they were waiting for you to come out, and then
We didn't do. I haven't done them pull through. Maybe
okay.
I should, but
well, I thought maybe we did. I couldn't remember.
Ooh, this really pulls these. The other one struggled. This one does not.
Well, I could tell with mowers, anything is like you could see going.
So that Elma map, I gotta look into it.
I don't know. I just saw that posted, and I was like, oh, that's... I don't even know where that is in relation to anywhere that he's ever lived, but I just thought, well, kind of like Green Valley, I mean, that's not our neck of the woods, but it's it's Nebraska, so...
Well, and it was the closest we could get.
Yeah, exactly.
So far.
Yeah, shoot,
Oh,
I'm
look.
like 20 mile an hour pulling this thing.
I know. Well, and the funny part is the other cool part is it's called Elma too.
Well, yeah. There's like kind of like Springfield.
Actually, it's not too far away from him. It's in his neck of the woods, really.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I haven't looked up in relation to everything else exactly where he's at. I mean, I know he's more towards the more towards the middle of the state.
Sort of. He's closer to Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean he's not that far. Or yeah,
I have an idea roughly where he's at. Um,
it's but yeah. So well, yeah. I know we were thinking about doing other things, but yeah, maybe. I mean, it is a third-party map, so it would be a big download.
yeah, but
Get it?
we got him on Green Valley.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He got that not too.
It took him. I think it took him like an hour, and by the time he got on there, he was like, "Okay, I'm done for the night."
Yeah.
But
Well, this might
I'll
not
look
be as.
into.
I don't think it's a 4x or whatever map though.
Well, I'll look into it. I found what they call a first look on the map on YouTube.
Okay.
Because I usually do that with every map, so I can kind of see what's in them. And they also tell you where to go download them and stuff too. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess
you
this is a
know, with the
popular
one of the
modder
things,
that did it, so it's like should be a decent decent map, I guess, because like someone who's done it before, so it shouldn't guess it shouldn't be too glitchy. I have no
yeah.
basis for saying that, but that's based on what poster kind of said. A new map from yeah, a new map from
Oh well, if it's new, we may want to wait a little bit because there's even the best
well, I don't know if
modders
they meant
have
new,
bugs.
but like I don't know that what meant by how new this because the person posting it is not the person who made it.
Yeah. The other thing I was just thinking is maybe the night that he downloads it is not a night we stream, kind of like what we did Tuesday,
Yeah,
so that he can in Discord and chat while he's doing it in case it does take like 45 minutes to an hour.
yeah, yeah. Maybe Derek's the time Derek's in that maybe those nights that's when we only do kick since that's kind of the 18 plus platform.
Well, that's exactly why I wanted to run him on wanted to run it on Friday
Well,
nights.
and that's the thing is it's like I'd have to back out of my uh stream here to look, but I bet you but like and it gets overturned, but like my YouTube stream like immediately well, I turn on monetization and then it like immediately gets limited or no ads, you know, whenever he's on. As he just, I mean, it's not like it's anything egregious, but it's, their system can detect little, you know, uh,
Well,
F I know, like that deal, that phrase like F I don't know, it'll pick that up. Actually,
yeah.
hang on,
Well,
I'm gonna alt tab out here and check some. I'm just a little curious.
yeah,
Certain. Yeah, but I don't know. But I think, well, no, actually, this one says limited ad. But yeah, but see, I think a lot of live gaming live streams they just like immediately go to that because oh, it's gaming. They could have game or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, I don't really care. All I got to do is appeal it, but then it takes a couple days, so you've missed out on a bit of.
Yeah.
When I say a little bit, I mean a little bit, because it's like 50 cents. I make 50, make about 50 cents a stream. They top out at I mean maybe it gets close to $1 or something like that, but kind of waiting to see if anybody else would join in chat or something. Just because I was going to, we need to, or I mean, I need to do this, but we need to, both of us get uh, on getting our kind of our trivia questions figured out for each other. Look them up and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Did we have a like a category, or was I can't remember if it was just going to be random, like what you picked something and I picked something.
Well,
or...
what do you want to do? Let's talk about that. I mean, I was figuring keeping it sort of gaming-ish, but I guess we don't really have to. We could have different. We could have gaming. I think we should have gaming, but uh then do we have other things like music or movies or something or anything else? But also along this, I guess what made me think of that is a little bit is um I had posted some things I've been doing, kind of getting my Atari games and paraphernalia organized, I
Yeah.
guess, because
Yeah.
well, you've been here. I basically had them all in boxes because we moved things around, and I needed the room, uh and now I'm putting them all back. And it's like, well, let's organize them, let's make something. And well, anyway, I found an old record book that me and Jody kept of our high scores or times or whatever in various Atari games. And I posted a couple pages just like, hey, look at this, kind of fun, nostalgic, all that jazz. And it got like 150, 200 likes, and like 50. There's still comments coming in, but a bunch of comments. But there was one comment saying, have you tried to beat any of those? And well, I said no, but I never really thought to do it. Um, so I thought, some streams, sort of, I'd get my 80s basement set up and do some streams sort of leading up, or honestly, I was gonna maybe record it, and then those I'd just play back as recordings on certain nights, but like leading up to it, thinking to maybe get an audience going. But
Yeah.
so that's what I was thinking about doing there, leading up into our Halloween stream. And that's what got me to sort of thinking about it, is that would be kind of a uh might be. So I thought, you know alongside the trivia, I could be going for high scores or something in a certain game if I do, kind of cap that off. But yeah, I was thinking definitely gaming, and everything's fair game. I guess, because there's going to be a lot I don't know, especially if you think of some
Well, last year there was certain questions like neither one of us knew,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
there was
Well, on the more
questions I
modern
knew
end,
that
yeah.
you didn't know because it was a little bit more modern, and there's questions that you knew that I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like, I mean, about anything goes, but I think kind of try to, if in a way, try to stick to the rule of like, would this be is this something either you already knew or it's something you could know. So, for example, you play more modern games and stuff, so like ask a Fortnite question. I'm probably not going to get it, but I mean that would be something that would like you would know. I mean, granted, you might have to look up an exact answer, and that's fine, but I'd say that's kind of like fair game, stuff like that. And then I don't know. I guess movies, maybe some music too. I mean, that's kind of cliche, but I guess it
Yeah,
keeps the conversation going. Um, but anyway, like with those high scores, I might do. I was gonna also, and I did this last time, is recorded days or weeks ahead of time, footage to just have streaming because of course I'll be late in the game because we'll be out trick or treating and doing that kind of stuff.
yep,
But I mean, you could be live uh, by yourself if you do whatever you want. But my stream
yeah,
would be um, you know, pre-recorded until I get there, I guess, and then I would call you. And I hope my, I mean, I hope my PC out there's up for the task. It worked last time. It's been working so far, but it's I'm on borrowed time. I was actually looking the other day at used like office PCs because that's what that is. But used but newer, like this thing's from I think somewhere around like 20 maybe 2014, 2012, maybe even that old. But so like if I can find something from like 2016, that's an upgrade
yeah.
kind of thing. But it should work all right. I'll do some testing before. Just getting so old, and then like OBS has updates, and that's taxing it a little bit more than it ever used to.
Yeah,
Just, I mean, it's like anything, game updates and everything just slows things down.
yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
I'd say just about any kind of trivia is kind of fair game there, but I guess the thing is let's not be hard on each other, like going out and finding the most random fact just to
oh,
that.
I know. I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking of doing that. I have, I, I haven't. I have some ideas. I guess. I just, um, and it would be kind of in their wheelhouse, especially of what we were just talking about. So I kind of
Yeah.
want to make it like a kind of a surprise,
Well, yeah, no, we
sort
don't.
of.
Yeah, don't share. But um, and
Oh, okay, you're on that line.
well, I'm almost full, so I was like, oh, I see you got full on this one, so I'm like, okay, I'll go pick that up because I was about full, and it's like that would. I was like, oh, that'll help fill me up and not have to drive so far, you know.
um, Speaking of streams and stuff, so I think I kind of got an idea of what I'm gonna do for Minecraft. I
Okay.
think, I think what I'm gonna do, and we were kind of talking about this the other night, but formally, I've kind of formulated more of a plan, I guess. I'm gonna alternate FarmSim and Minecraft for a little bit, maybe for a month or two.
Okay.
Um, we'll probably start next week, actually, unless you tell me that you guys aren't going to be able to watch. Because that's, I guess, the one thing would be is if I'm going to teach him Minecraft, then obviously he needs to be in there. So
Well,
if you guys are going to take off or something, I kind of need to know
well, and
so I
here's the
know
thing:
not to air it.
when you do Minecraft, do YouTube too, because I can put that on the TV, which I can't do with Twitch. That's the thing. Twitch, Roku,
Well,
or because Roku is part of Amazon or vice versa or something. Uh, you know, it used to work, but now they.
well, if I did, I guess if I did that, I'd have to download them and then upload them. Um,
Well, I don't know
I could
why can't
I
you
could do that.
do
I could
I mean I know Twitch's terms of service is like, oh, you can't do this, but like
well,
big
no.
streamers do. They're like, F that, you know. But
My problem is I only have Twitch on my console.
oh, Minecraft isn't on your PC. Oh, okay.
No,
Oh.
no, it's only on my console.
Oh, okay. Well, he can. We can watch it on the computer. I mean, I got ways to do it. It's just be more convenient. But
So I guess what I was
go
thinking
with.
is like,
Don't start Minecraft up too soon here, because right now we're kind of having a hiatus on watching anything.
well, I wouldn't start it till next week, anyways. That would be the soonest.
Okay.
I mean, we'll talk about it
Well,
because
the reason why I want to do it whenever you do it and we're able to watch is I want it to be live, because the point is then I can type uh or heck if I have him watch it in here, we just well, can get on. Well, no, couldn't really do disc. Whatever, we can chat to you, and then you can like go
yeah,
and show us. Or
yeah,
I don't know how much he's gonna want to ask questions or whatever, but I might have some. And again, because it's more just, well, his obviously his friends all play it, and they, however, in their own way, they play it on the playground. Or and
yeah.
like I said, he goes along or whatever, but it's like he doesn't have context. Like I think he's tried to get them to play Pac-Man, and they're like, what is that, kind of thing. Or dig, well, no, not, or Dig Dug, Pac-Man. They probably even, most little kids probably know at least to have a fleeting, if they are into games or something. But like
Yeah.
like Dig Dug, you know. But like today, like I said, I stayed home. I'm feeling better, but I still kind of feel a little off, like nauseous. I don't know. I must have mild food poisoning or something.
No.
Like super mild, or I don't know, something just, I don't know, something just didn't agree with me. But anyway, whatever. I was home, and anyway, they were, and I did too a little bit when I felt it up to it. But yeah, they were doing this. They were playing Farming Simulator.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I had to have him redo that. It was better the first time, because he just said, "No, this is a third-party mod, and that's why it doesn't hook up to any trailer." And I'm like, wait a minute, you got to do that. Say that again. And I turned my camera on. He didn't quite say it the same, but I figure you got the gist of it. Well, and that's the thing, is he was going to his toy box, or out where he has them, and getting different things and bringing them up there. And it's like, yeah, I bought this because I just really wanted it, or something. So I mean, basically, the toy box is the mod, the mod pile, or the mod hub for him.
Yeah. The mod hub.
I mean, he doesn't even really know. I mean, he knows because he watches me go through the menu, but it's like, I don't really explain it that much. But
Yeah.
yeah, and and you know that's not uncommon. I've seen other kids kind of pick up on stuff like that too. Um,
Oh,
well, and that's kind of like the like I don't know, maybe just because I'm an adult and stuff, and my imagination's gone, you know. But it's kind of like, well, but knowing what Minecraft is, it's like, how would you play that on the playground? You know, like, I mean, we didn't do this, but I mean, I could conceptualize, you know, like back in the day, pretending to play like Super Mario Brothers on the playground. Okay, you got the jungle gym and stuff, so you got an obstacle course there. You know,
yeah.
and you pretend there's Goombas and Koopa Troopas and stuff. But Minecraft based just it's a building kind of game. So how do you
Well,
even how do you
but
even try to, you know, pretend to play that kind of game like
but at his age, they probably don't think about that so much about the building. It's probably more about the creepers and the zombies and the
okay.
spiders.
Well,
So
that's a
so
little
it'd be
bit
the same thing as you thinking about the Goombas.
you're probably
They
right.
they're thinking about the swords and trying to kill the creepers, the zombies,
Okay.
and the
Well,
spiders. I
I
would
guess
guess.
I tried to ask him like, well, how do you play it? Kind of like almost like the South Park. How do you tame a horse in Minecraft? Which I don't. I think that's the joke. I don't even get that joke to be honest. Um, but yeah. So maybe it's kind of like that. It's like just act. You're yeah. Actually, you're probably right. But I figure I better give him context, and I don't want to just show him a YouTube video because there's a ton of them, and it's like, well, what are you showing
Well,
me?
and if you watch like the ones I watch, you, they're like way advanced, so you'd miss a lot of what the game actually
Well,
is.
exactly.
They're like
I mean, that's
they're
a
like so good at it that they skip all the stuff that you need to do in the beginning because it's boring and kind of a what kind of a grind.
yeah,
So they skip all that stuff where they do it off screen and they get to a point where it's like, okay, this is going to be interesting to film.
yeah,
The the one guy I watch, he plays in hard mode and all he does is he thinks of all this stuff to build and he just keeps building. Like he's got a mountain area with several castles and several villages, and I'm just like it. And then he talks about like he'll get done with one village. Well, this village took me 200 hours to do, and I'm like, man, it's like that's so neat, but I'm like, I don't have 200 hours to sit there and build that thing.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's yeah. Well, the funny part is though, is like with Tucker, we'll watch or he enjoys these. Of course, it's retro games, and that's like all he knows. Let's see.
Yeah.
Up. Guess there's just a couple piles back here. So, um,
I'm gonna dump this and then I'm gonna get our road in so that we can start plowing.
okay. But he likes that. There's this channel. It's called You Can Beat Video Games, and it's like deep dives into well NES games, SNES games. I mean, I I watched them through like on of course the games that I'm familiar with or have some sort of familiarity with, but they're very technical and it's like he he gets into those details and it's like it's almost scary because like I was he watched through the original Legend of Zelda and then A Link to the Past, which I had only played like once, but it's just such an I think kind of a neat game. But the video
Yeah.
itself is like this. It's a walkthrough. I mean, it's history, it's trivia, it's glitches, it's secrets, it's every anything and every everything, and it's like an hour and a half long video, and he like picked up on the road here. Um, uh, um, but he picked up on all these like little things, like with the the bosses and Ganon, and like, oh yeah, you got to have this to do that and stuff. And well, we've watched all the Mario ones just cuz, and he's drawn Mario level, like if I had a Switch, he'd have Mario. We'd be playing Mario Maker, doing levels.
I think that would be kind of fun. All right, let's dump these, and I'll show you where the plow
Yeah,
is.
hang on. I just thought I'd pick up these grass pile. 2%. 296.
I'm gonna show them Minecraft, and then you're gonna have to buy Minecraft next. And the funny part is, I guess in a way you could kind of consider it a retro game. It's just not retro like what you normally play.
It's retro as in what it started in like 2006 or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I remember the original hype. That's why I can't believe it's still, it's still.
Well, it's because it's just it just keeps morphing. They build what they need to in it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm
trying
to.
Here.
I got my camera spun clear around, so I'm trying to. I don't know. That's the thing. Backing up in this game is hard to me because you can't turn your head, because I can't do it with the camera.
Well, if you can't so if it's too much, just leave it there, and I'll get it later. I can always get it later. Well, what I was thinking of, like, the first one we do, I would just like, I'll have to kind of do some prep work because, I just you just spawn somewhere, and I'll want to do some prep work because like sometimes you get an island or something, and I don't think that would be very good to try to learn off of.
Yeah.
You could do it, but an island just doesn't always have the enough resources for you.
Well, you know what? That's kind of like the old Sim City.
But there's some things after that, like we can do all sorts of things, and I was always gonna kind of stream some stuff on it anyways, so. And then I've got like different maps I wanted to do, and what else? Oh, and we were talking about the Ender, going to the end and going to the Nether and stuff. So I mean, we could do those all on different streams. They don't have to be.
Okay, so we're gonna plow on one side of the road.
Yeah, this side of the road. This is going to be our cornfield. I think I'm gonna have to take that tree out unless we want to leave it in there. And we're gonna go those two back trees. We're gonna go up to them.
Okay.
I think that'll be a good cornfield.
Oh, do you not have great? Oh wait, never mind.
No, you have to turn. You have to allow.
Yeah, I just realized that I didn't hit the right. I hit the right shoulder button, not the left. Well, it's funny because I have my NES Classic, so it has the first three Mario's on there,
Uh-huh.
Super Mario's, I should say. Um, and he likes Mario, pretty much likes Mario 3 the best, um, probably for obvious reasons. But it's funny how he can beat the first level, sometimes beat the second level, but like I've been we haven't done it in a while, but we played through the I'm kind of playing through the game. Of course, I have to use save states to do it all in one deal, and I'm but anyway, but like we'll be in we'll load up a save state or something, and because they got different save slots, and but then and he'll be like, oh well, I want to play, or we'll alternate or something. And it's like, well, a lot of times he just dies all over. But it's funny, like on like the airship levels,
Uh-huh.
like I think we were in like World 7 or something. That's when it starts getting really hard. And he on the first try beat the like World 7's airship level. I mean, got through the airship, got down to the Koopa Kid, and beat him. But yet he can't
Uh,
meet like a mid-course boss, like with just the boom boom fight where you just have to jump on him 3 times. You know.
yeah.
um, but yeah, yeah, it's kind of hilarious. Like some of them he can just do, then others not so much.
Yeah.
It. I mean, some of it might be luck, but he kind of knows what he's doing, and we don't play a lot. I mean, he hasn't played that thing, or we haven't dug that out in 6, because it's usually a wintertime thing.
Yeah.
Because when it's cold out, it's nice and warm up there. Obviously, when we got the fire going, but so yeah, it's more of a
Yeah.
wintertime thing. But yeah, he actually can got the skills down and stuff. That's the thing, is like I don't know if I'll ever let him get a modern console, whatever that is in the future. But it's like if he gets older or he goes to friends' houses and stuff, it's like he's not going to understand how to play whatever Xbox or PS or PlayStation version is they have. He's going to be wanting like a joystick or a D-pad and buttons, like 2 buttons. I mean, that's the thing. He's like he's actually pretty good um at Dig Dug and Dig Dug 2. He can get to like level 6 or 7, and then there's this other game on the arcade one up. It's uh called Rompers. I don't really remember it in the arcade, but it's a puzzle game, and I can't do it all on just the 3 or 4 lives, but you can just obviously keep continuing. So he'll get kind of stuck on a level for a couple tries, whatever. But he can get, there's 50 levels, and so far he can get to level 30, and
Uh,
it's it's a different kind of puzzle game where you gotta, I mean, you kind of memorize patterns, but then you gotta push things over to get bonuses. That he doesn't always go for the bonuses, but he's more just clearing the level, but also trying to kill most of the enemies too. They respawn, and there's a method to it, but yeah, he figured that one out pretty quick, and I don't even know. I'd never played that one back in the day. It's more of an early 90s arcade game, I guess you could say. It's a
yeah.
Namco. That's why it's on there. Yeah, I'm actually
Yeah,
kind of
I plan on doing a bunch of different things
okay.
on it, and
Well, we'll
I think
tech.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna alternate. Like I don't know if I can change my Twitch channel to be like various on the like the schedule, but I was thinking one week
You
I'll
should
do
you
farm
should
sim
be
and
able to. I mean, I guess
one week
I
one
should
week I'll do farm sim and one week I'll do Minecraft.
I guess I
I've got
should
a few
go into
games.
my Twitch and actually just put schedule of Friday nights because been pretty consistent at that. Not
Yeah,
that I have much of a following there. Again, not a lot of people come in on this, but more people come in on YouTube. And but yeah, I'm kind of excited to do the party stream with doing uh going for my old written down records because that add an interesting dimension. Because otherwise, I just play the games until I kind of get get bored. Because there's certain games that I'll sit there and grind for high scores. I don't mind. Then there's others that, I don't care to keep improving it. Like for example,
yeah.
asteroids is one that I could play that one for. I used to play that for almost hours, trying to go for high scores. Same with the very Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, and Junior Pac-Man. I do it on various difficult. But then um, something like Pitfall or whatever, uh, I wouldn't. I just pop it in and every once in a while, and it's like, okay, just try to better the score from last time, or in that game mostly just try to even finish it because they just you barely have enough time there. It's a time limit. You get 20 minutes to find 32 treasures throughout 256 screens, and even doing it even the most optimal way, you only get like a few minutes leeway. So
Hmm.
like I never beat that game as a kid. I never was able to get all 32 treasures. Uh, I did later as an adult, but that's after watching a walkthrough. you know, able to get, but even
Well,
watching a walkthrough, it was hard.
when I was a kid, I I don't think I hardly ever beat a game. I had a lot of fun playing games, but it wasn't until I was an adult and started seeing how things were done on YouTube or something, it's like, oh, well, I didn't understand that. It's
Well,
like
that's the
that.
thing with
Oh,
some games. Yeah, I never saw past certain areas of the game, and I'm including even games that I play at friend's house because obviously I didn't have the system, whatever. But things like like the Mario games and things, I never personally, like Mario 2, ever got to Wart. I got within a level or two, but then I ran out of lives, kind of thing. But I was able to watch
yeah,
somebody else get there. And same with Mario 3. I only was able to beat it once on my own, and that was like on a sleepover when I had enough time to to be there to do it, because I didn't
yeah,
own the system. Um, but going back to kind of like Atari, Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is a notoriously cryptic game, and people claim it's like, oh, I figured it out back in the '80s, and yeah, right, you did. I mean, they did publish like, and you had to mail away for it from Atari, basically a solution sheet. But even that was a walkthrough. I mean, a printed walkthrough that had text and some. Well, they weren't even screenshots; they were illustrations of what the game looked like. It's like, okay,
yeah,
this is what it's going to look like, kind of thing. And it wasn't 100% accurate because it was like a hand drawn, uh, you know, graphic, and So it wasn't even, what was actually on the screen. So it was kind of missing things. But even with the
Mm-hmm.
solution sheet which was a little literal, this is where you go and this is the order you have to do things in. It was still uh difficult. And I never beat it as a kid. It wasn't until I got to college and again had access to the internet, and I looked up on Atari Age, and well, they didn't have a picture of that because it wasn't people didn't have scanners at the time to scan stuff, but somebody had typed it up in like a notepad or a Word document. It was on the website of, okay, step by step how to do it. So I printed it off and took it home one time, and it's like, and tried to follow it through. And even the first time following it through, it was like, it still was, I I did something out of order. I didn't time something right. It took me a couple tries even with the solution to, so like, how in the heck did people figure this out? Back in the day, obviously they did, but I
Yeah.
never. I mean, I tried as a kid, and the other thing is I remember like I well reading the manual. And the manual only gives you about enough to get started, but it doesn't tell you everything you need to know. Like even like it shows what these objects are and names them, but it's like, what is it? What does this do? Kind of like you got to trial and error and figure this out.
Yeah.
And then I remember, adults or whatever saying, "Well, you got to watch the movie because it." And I hadn't seen it yet. Um, oh, so if I watch the movie, I'll understand it. It's like, well, I knew what the movie was about, and yes, it in a very in a 4K way, 4 kilobyte way, it follows the movie in a way. I mean, there's the whole element of how you find the ark, but the movie doesn't tell you how to solve the game. like I actually, actually like believed that like, oh, okay, if I just do everything in the order of the game. So okay, so he goes here and he goes there, and well, I mean, yes, that's true, because yeah, you got to find the staff of Ra, and find the map, uh, and then wait for the sun to come up and all that stuff that happens in the movie. But it's not the visual. Oh, it's brilliant as an adult looking at it, but as a kid, it's like, what is this? I mean, even reading the manual, it says, okay, these are mesas. Okay, well, they're in the, well, Egypt or wherever, or not, uh, and stuff. And it's like, okay, these are rock formations. Okay, I get that, but it's like, but you swing using a grappling hook from mesa to mesa to find where it's buried and stuff, and like that's not in the movie. So yeah, I mean, there's just things like that. I never, yeah, I definitely had to be an adult. I never, there was parts of that game I never saw until YouTube, till probably about 2006, um, late, or maybe into 2007, when somebody uploaded a VHS screen recording of them playing through it with no commentary, nothing. I can remember the video. It's still up too, but it's someone who recorded it on VHS tape of how to beat it. But there's no commentary because they didn't have a way to do that. I mean, now there's
Yeah.
tons of it about it, but and I remember watching that. I was like, wow, I've never even seen that screen. It's like, okay, I read about the using the parachute. Oh, that's where you use it, or that's, well, that was the other thing, is like one of the screens that is shown in the manual has this hole on the side of the wall that you're supposed to go into, but you're falling, and when you're falling, you can't move. that's where you use the parachute. And then, but then there's this, what I thought was like it's a tree branch, like supposed to look like leaves, but I thought the leaves look kind of like a basket. So I thought, oh, you're supposed to like aim for that, and then it'll swing you into the hole because it's right above the hole that you need to go into. And I remember the first time I did that, and I had the parachute, got the money, and all this, which that is a chore in itself, just getting enough money or in your inventory to buy a parachute. And I got that, and I finally figured out how to use it, the timing of it, and then I hit that branch, and then I fell to my death because that apparently breaks your parachute because you're supposed to avoid that and kind of maneuver your. That's part of the challenge is maneuvering around this tree, but the way the manual makes it look like is because it says tree branch or something, so it's like, oh, okay, you aim for that, and then you swing, like Indy does with his whip, grabs onto things and swings around it. So I thought, oh, you swing around the tree branch into the hole, and then that gets you into well, they call it the Well of Souls, and that's if you're in the right place, you use the shovel and you dig and you find the ark. But that's the other thing, is I didn't know how to find. I didn't realize how to find the ark because that doesn't tell you that in the manual. It just, you kind of have to figure that out. Trial. I mean, I
Yeah.
fell off of mesas and just buying parachutes and falling off of random mesas trying to find the ark. Because after I figured out, oh, you go in this hole and then you dig for the ark. Well, the first time I did, I was like, oh yes, I'm about to beat the game. And I'm like, okay, now how do I use the shovel? So I was like, oh yeah, that's right. The right joystick, because you got to use both joysticks and both buttons to do things, because one moves through your inventory and one uses or drops the item. So I kept hitting the button and not the button on the joystick, left joystick, which is the one that you use to move yourself. And usually when you hit the button, that's how you use an item. Whip or the gun or throw a grenade or something. Do that. Well, the shovel wasn't doing anything. It's like, oh, maybe you have to press the other one. So I'm in the place I've never been before with a shovel, and I hit the button, and it drops the item, so I lose the shovel.
Oh no.
Well, turns out the reason why the shovel didn't work is because I wasn't on the right mesa. If you find the ark or the right mesa, there's a mounded, or well, it's supposed to be dirt, but there's a brown blob of pixels that is what you dig, and then that's that tells you found the right one, and you dig, and then that's the arc. But I never, as a kid, never found that because I didn't know how you looked. um Geez, you zoomed right in. How did you do that? Yeah, you like warped right to the field, like right in my.
Yep.
That was
That's
like
at
hilarious.
F12.
It's just like, zoom, and then you were like right there.
I know I was trying to do that. I was trying to be.
I saw,
I
yeah,
wanted to remove that
well, I was
tree.
watching the stream and I saw, what are you doing? And I saw you were getting some attachment. I was like, oh, okay, you're taking out a.
Wow, I didn't know I leased the combine. Okay. I thought I bought it.
Is that why we're losing money?
Apparently.
I'm like, yeah, we had like 183,000. Now we're down.
No, I just rented some other stuff.
Oh, okay.
But um I thought we owned the combine. I didn't know I had it rented. I'll fix it though.
Okay. Yeah, the other game that I did beat as a kid, only on the easiest difficulty, that is beatable of our game, one of the few that are, is ET. I was able to beat that, but never on the hardest difficulty. Could never do that. And there's a few other games that are technically beatable. ends. Not very.
The closest thing I ever got to actually beating was actually probably RC Pro-Am as a kid. And that the game actually doesn't really end. It just keeps looping.
No, it doesn't. I've watched, again, back when YouTube was still pretty new and people were just scrambling to make content. You know, there was a lot of retro games. So, but AVGN, you know, sparked a lot. But then there was a lot of like playthrough and video, that kind of content. And RC Program was one that I was like, yeah, I remember the music and all this. So yeah, somebody had a complete playthrough. Now there's like speed runs or speed runs, and then there's like tasks, tool assisted one. And honestly, the tool assisted of like that game to watch is it's almost not. I don't want to say it's not watchable, but it's confusing because they're abusing so many glitches that it's like, what the heck? You're like looking at it as like, what the heck is happening? Because they're like clipping through objects and stuff and like beating the courses in like 10 seconds some tracks someone
Yeah.
or they're doing things like what are they doing, you know? It's kind of like if you watch tool assisted speed runs of like any of the Mario Kart games from the beginning pretty much to the latest. Those games are like so broken, like with 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 well, I don't want to say yeah, glitches where you can literally just like beat tracks, and well, there's a couple of them in like Mario Kart like 64. There's a couple of them. You can beat them if you can do like frame perfect inputs. You can beat the track in like 5 seconds, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even the humans are doing it in like 15 seconds. They have to like line up and this or that or whatever, and they have to rely on some of the random number gen stuff that the tool assisted, because they can do it frame perfect. They can guarantee the same random number every. But yeah, so like that's, and honestly that's how I got watching the speed runs, is I was watching, you know, playthroughs of like old games that I was like, I've never seen the end of this game. What does the end look like? RC Program's like a good kind of like a good example of that, or like one was Donkey Kong Country. I remember friends had that game and we got really far into it, but I never witnessed that. They said they did beat it and they showed me their game or whatever after the fact, their saved game, but I think I'll be able to get this in. But I never was able to witness it, so I didn't know what the actual boss fight with is and the credits and all that. Yeah. Or like the end of, oh, there's one. The end of Metroid on the NES. You know, that game seemed like, you know, really hard. But yeah, it was YouTube where I was able to see the, you know, what the end of that looked like, or like Ninja Gaiden, Bad Dude, all those guys. All right. Gonna break out anything over there to plant something on the other side, or leave it for
No.
grass still? Probably should leave some for grass, don't you suppose?
Yeah. Well, and
Right
I
now.
was, I don't know if I was gonna do anything there or not. I was actually thinking of buying a new field, but I'm just realizing that I don't have anything to plant the corn with. Make sure you turn off your plow.
Oh,
so it doesn't create.
right.
Now that we're done.
Let me make sure I think I did.
before we get too far, I'll save it.
There we go. I was going into the road just to make a little bit, just to make sure I had it turned. I do.
So I thought about buying either one of the pieces either to the left or to the right, or buying the one going up the road
What
towards the
about the?
sell point.
Well, right there's that. Or what about whatever plot? And I don't know where it is, where the grapes are. Or did you want to just set it up on our? Remember we talked about.
Well, I don't know.
Because we
I
could
don't.
put the I mean, I don't know how much space it takes out, but maybe the grapes could go kind of in one of these spots. Honestly, by the uh near the like near the pond here. I mean, I'm not sure what you got to do, but it's like uh you could. Seems like that'd be a good place. Put them somewhere where the land isn't very good. You know.
Please don't back up where that one wheel doesn't.
No, the well,
When I brought these in, I just like, especially since yours is on that end, I just kind of drove them in and
oops.
turned them around.
Here, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go. We're gonna do this easy. Do this the Tucker way. We'll just
Well,
wash it off. Wash the.
okay, hold on. Let me.
Hang on. I'm just getting my plow.
I'm gonna disappear for a second
Okay.
because I'm trying to explore a little bit because I may know where the grape field is, but I may not.
Well, it's not too far away.
Well,
it's
it might have been. This actually is probably where it is, but they don't have it in here.
Okay, because I was gonna drive over where I know. Or
This is my best guess for it because it's a nice rectangle. There's a rectangle where I think the barn was, and there's a rectangle where I think the field was.
okay.
Um, but they're bare. Um, well, I guess if we want to do that, if we want to do grapes,
Well, we don't have to do grapes now. I'm just saying let's. I was thinking
well,
about where should
I'm trying to think of what to do because I don't have planters that do corn, and that's obviously what we need if we want to continue on.
Yeah.
Um, I can buy. I guess I can buy where I want to put the grapes, and then we could just cut it because it's going to be another huge grass field if you want to.
That'd be okay.
Okay, let's just do that
If we
then,
got the
and then
money and
we got the money and everything
I don't
and the
mind
equipment. So
mowing. It's kind of fun and honestly raking and picking it up is kind of because it's not super tedious.
yeah, yeah. Well, now that yeah, I think what we got going now, I think is pretty good.
I just thought the
And I like,
grapes might be a. Let's see, where do you have the mowers? I here. Or...
yeah, they're on the back side of the barn. I didn't know. See, that's another thing is I kind of want the piece of ground I just bought because I think I'm gonna have to find and put up another shed because we're starting to run out of room.
Yeah.
So
Well, it'd be at
it
least
might be
nice to have the wouldn't necessarily have the equipment in there, but probably nice to put the tractors in.
so we own both sides of the road this time. Um, I'm just gonna start here,
Okay.
and this is gonna be huge compared to that backfield.
Actually, these are similar type mowers to smaller ones that have in real life.
Well, that's what I was trying to go for. Is kind of something kind of like what we would have both had on the farm.
Yeah. And we have a batwing, but that's sometimes too big for things.
I do have. Well, I was using it on the Pioneer map. I do have a Batwing mod. I could. I don't know if these tractors would run it, but
I guess what game? I mean, you said you didn't beat too many games as a kid, but what games did you have? The first thing, because what did you start with?
I started with Super. Oh well, actually, if you want to get real technical, I started with Atari.
Okay.
I mean, I owned a Nintendo, but my dad had an Atari, so and it was kind of. I never really got it why we did it this way, but we would never get it. It wasn't ever out all the time. It was always up in the attic, and we'd only get it out once a year and play it for like a weekend, and then it would get put away, and we would never see it for another year. I don't know why my parents ever did it that way, but unless they are just because they figured it was a classic, they didn't want to.
Yeah, but it wasn't that old at that time.
No, because this was back in the 80s.
Well, yeah, but see, it was still, well, not relevant, but it was not old or like, oh, this is going to be collectible. I never, that was the thing. Now, it's funny you say that, oh, only got it out and then play it and then play and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I never understood that growing up.
We weren't that strict with it, but because the Atari lived in my room on my I had a black and white TV. So I first played it only in black and white. So I never saw the colors of the games till a lot later. And it was just an old black and white, rotary dial TV, 13 channel, whatever, but you only needed one channel for that. And that's all. And I guess I could have had an antenna hooked up to it, but I didn't. The TV was there purely for the Atari. But it's funny. Kind of like I do now, is me and Jody, and sometimes my mom would get in on it, but would primarily only play it in the winter times, and it would be on the weekends. But we would go through maybe like a month of weekends, something like that, and then we just wouldn't get it out for months on end, and then we'd get a hankering to play it, and we'd play it like day in day out for a while, a week or something, and then put it away for a bunch of months. And then of course when certain friends would come over, obviously we'd maybe get it out, but the funny part is it was Nintendo was out, of course, and so we still had a lot of fun. It was like, well, you don't have a Nintendo, so let's just go outside and else, like if doing kind of a sleepover type deal, then that's when we'd play it for hours, obviously after supper or when it got dark, and we'd play it till midnight or whatever, and do like co-op games and things of that nature. Again, I never had a Nintendo, I just always had that, and how it went. But so, all right, so back to your situation. Okay, yeah, you started with Atari, but really didn't play it that much. So when did you get the Nintendo, and why? Was it something you wanted and they just said, okay, we'll buy it, or did you?
Well, I
kind of want it too, or
he probably did, but I think it was something I wanted, and then we got it. I want to say a year or two after they originally came out, so we didn't get on the first batch. We
Right.
were.
Well,
It
I
was a
don't
couple
remember
years, a
anybody
year or two
else
after.
that I knew that did either. I mean, I don't know if it was a
But
year, but it was a while. They didn't get that first Christmas out.
yeah,
Well,
exactly, and
I
that's
shouldn't say that.
exactly
My
when I got it
cousins did.
too.
My cousins did, but we didn't get out to play it at their house. We didn't go to their house, and because we always gathered at my grandma's place up here, and they down because there's no one, really the only one TV to play it on, and they weren't gonna
Yeah,
hook it up, and grandma and grandpa were like, oh, what are video games?
yeah,
The stigma. So, you know, they had them, and like when the Game Boy come out, they got the Game Boy, and so I got to play it a little bit. And I really wanted, well, actually Jody really more wanted the Game Boy than I did, but we did, want it, but we got it. I get why, but we weren't really ever miffed because we didn't get it. I,
well, and for the longest, I don't know how long it was. We only had Super Mario and Duck Hunters, and then we had I want to say it's called started with a K.
oops, I got kicked out somehow. Get back in.
Oh, well,
That you?
it might be my internet playing up.
Yeah, but I would have lost you on Discord.
Well, I guess that's true
Yeah.
because I'm having problems with
No,
Twitch and there you are. I'm having problems with Twitch and everything.
no,
And
this
Discord
could
kind
have
of
been
kicked
my
out for a
side
minute.
somehow, but
And Discord kind of kicked out for a second too
okay. Well, now.
earlier, but the thing was like okay, so we had it and we only had it hooked up to the family room TV. So
No.
what?
Well, when I glitched, I got kicked out. Of course, I had no control. Well, I was right in front of the rakes in the okay, I was able to get myself unstuck, but and I spawned back into the game. I was like crashed into the tractor and the rakes. I had the rake stuck on the front end of my tractor. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to reset.
No.
No, it's working. It's able to get. But yeah, uh, yeah. So anyway, I never was allowed to get any other video game system than the Atari. But that was the thing, though, is they didn't restrict me from buying new Atari games, which I you know they're in their late 80s, they were still selling them new, of course, at discounted prices. I bought several brand new games at Pomida in the clearance bin, and actually, I got some of them. I didn't. Well, some of them, a few accessories that I bought, I never used, but I bought them because they were $1 or
Yeah.
$2, and they have the Pomida sticker, the sticker on it. And then there's some I have that must have, and I don't remember getting these, but I did, like extra joysticks for $10 at Target. They have a Target price sticker still on the
Huh.
boxes, brand new, never been opened. Um, so I was all, they didn't restrict getting new games when you could, but then also like, the flea market out here, once along I-76 there as you're coming into
Yeah.
town. Okay,
Yep.
we used to go there all the time before we'd leave to go home, and especially in the early 90s, those games were not worth anything. So there was these sellers that just had boxes and boxes and boxes of games, peripherals, and all that stuff. And you know, I never paid more than $1 for any just about any one game that I bought just loose. And then same with, and a lot of them even still have the manuals. Um,
Hmm.
That's so well, and a good chunk of my collection uh, then on all came from there, and again, I had a book that I wrote down all the titles, so I knew what games I had or didn't have, so I couldn't remember them all.
Yeah.
And so when I'd look through boxes, if I thought if if I kind of thought, oh, I have that one, I'd I'd get out the book and see and flip through. I did end up with a few duplicates because I didn't have the book along, and I found some, and I was like, well, I don't think I have this one, so I'll buy it, and then I come home and had it. So, but yeah, but I was never no Nintendo. It wasn't like they were against it or anything. Well, I guess
Well,
they
and
were.
so the other thing was, and I was very thankful for getting a Game Boy, and I don't remember anything about when I got it. Probably for Christmas as well, but um, so I didn't know this until we till we got into actually playing games and stuff. But my dad would really get into playing games, so there was times I couldn't even play my own console because my dad
Well, and that's what I
was
was wondering is like,
playing it.
okay, he had the
So like,
Atari, so did
yeah, but we didn't have. We only used the family. That was the other thing, and is we only used the family room TV. So like, it was either you use it for TV or you use it for playing
well,
games,
that's true, yeah.
and then it was tied up. So that's why it's like is like when we got the Game Boy, that was great because then if he was playing on the TV, at least I could play games still on the Game Boy.
Yeah. Now, see, that's it. My dad didn't play any video games, but my mom, she would go through spurts where she would only a couple of different games, like Space Invaders, sorry, Space
Mm-hmm.
Invaders, and she was good at that, and the Atari Pac-Man. Really get into that one and go for high scores and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, she'd play long enough, she'd get blisters on her fingers.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we'd all kind of play and try to beat different scores. If we didn't write them all down, I kind of wish we would have. But then things like, then we got, you know, well, I guess thinking about it, Junior Pac-Man was one that I bought new. I remember having the box, but the box is. But like a lot of the early games I played, um, were, I mean, like I said, my parents had to have bought new. I don't remember buying them myself new
Yeah.
because they were the early stuff. Because when I first remember playing it, we had quite a few games. So I don't know who how that it's odd. I don't. Yeah, it had to have been my mom that either wanted it or thought it was a unique thing, and because I have the original. I have the original box too. It wasn't in 1977. It was later, more like 19. I think they re-released the because it was a 4 switch model. It wasn't a 6 switch. It came out in 77. 4 switch, I think, was a revision in 1980. So it had to have been 1980, and they probably had a. It would have had a first price drop, but it still would have been 100 and. Oh, I'd have to look back. Gonna if anybody's watching, they'll correct me. But I want to say like first would have been still about $130 system when it started. I think maybe
Oh.
Or, well, you know what? Now that I think about it, 77. It might have been as much as 199, almost $200. A lot of money. And games were like $40, I think. The
Yeah.
good. I mean, some of them were cheaper, but like the equivalent to like the triple A's were like $40, I think, 39.95. I mean, I have price sheets from later in the console's life cycle, because
Hmm.
I have letters and handwritten notes of like the uh telephone numbers for games division for Nintendo, Coleco, uh, Atari, Sunnyvale, and Chicago, and and then order forms, and like some of the games that were because these have 5200 and 7800 games on there, and I even have one that has some Lynx games handheld, but even some of the 2600 games were still $20, the or premier titles. But like the older titles, like Asteroids or Missile Command, or the more simple games, Breakout, Super Breakout, those were getting down there to where you could buy those for like $10. They were like $10 or less. A couple of them were even like $5.95.
Yeah.
But that was, I think that price sheet like dated like 1988, which is pretty much about the end for that. They really even, and they weren't even really making new games. It was just probably to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they would have been buying games right at the height, and those games weren't cheap. I don't know how much the Activision. They were always, when I was little, I didn't know. I just knew Activision. They were still just making Atari and then some computer games, personal computers at the time. Uh, they weren't what they are now, of course. Um, remotely, but I always remembered as a kid, those games always seemed to be the best, or they were really good,
Yeah.
graphic, just graphically, gameplay versus the Atari one. So obviously yeah. So you would have had the system that would have had Mario and Duck, or come with the Mario and Duck
Yeah.
cartridge. So,
Yep.
but after that, remember what I guess what your other than that game, what was the first game after that, or the second? I guess it'd be your
I I think our second game was called. It was KAVOK. I think.
hmm.
However you say that.
Have to look
I
it up. I'm
think.
not placing that.
Um.
You know what?
And I
Funny
don't
funny
know. I
thing.
don't know why. I don't. I. It was kind of alright, but it kind of wasn't. And I don't know if it was my dad's choice or I think it was probably his choice that we got it. Not not so much mine. But then we had both Zeldas.
Okay.
Zelda and Link. But and that's when I really started noticing that he was really into games because he would play those.
So he liked
He
the
actually
puzzle
really
kind of.
enjoyed playing those.
So more the puzzle games rather than a Mario
Yeah.
where it's an action run and jump and memorize
Yeah.
patterns.
Yeah, he liked those kind of games, and I like the games where you just like you we're more like Mario, where you just bash.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just linear gameplay pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, and now that I think about it, I said, "Well, what's your second?" It popped into my head. When my cousins got NES, they got it pretty much right out of the gate, and because I think about it, they had Rob the Robot, which I which I believe came with the first, or yeah, came with the first wave of when it came out. That's
Oh,
because I remember they had it, and I remember that, and I remember them trying to them setting it up. That's right, they were setting it up, and then I do remember them trying to play it a little bit, and I remember it not, they couldn't get it to work
yeah,
well the way it was advertised, spinning discs and stuff. I mean, I barely was understanding what was going on because that it was just, I mean, it was just so foreign. I knew video games as my Atari at that point.
yeah,
And then whatever's in, and then the awesomeness of the arcade,
yeah,
but not at home. Because yeah, that's the thing. It's like, we didn't get to an arcade all that much, but I like Missile Command, Asteroid. Well, but and I would, at restaurants or gas stations, they'd have video games there and stuff. And for example, like Asteroids and such at Little Mexico and city there, they always had a couple of video games in there, and they had well, they had Asteroids. Later, they had Tron in there. I forget. They had a couple others that rotated through, but I remember always going over there to plug feed quarters Asteroids, and I'd play it at home, and it's like, and I really like the home version, but it's like, oh, this isn't, you know, nothing like Cade's version. So awesome. And same with like Missile Command. Just graphics were better and sound, mostly probably the sound. Same with like Berserk.
mm-hmm,
Hearing the robotic voice. I wished I could hear that at home, kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
But anyway, when I saw Rob, I was like, this isn't like, you know, I wasn't impressed, I guess, with it.
Yeah.
But then when I got to play Mario the first time, and like saw somebody playing like Punch Out and at those games, I was like, wow, I wish I could have one of these.
See, I Punch Out I've played, but it was always at a friend's house. It never was. We never owned it.
It's
And then you
tough.
speaking of the records, so I can remember, and I wouldn't have them anymore, but I can remember that's what I do with Mario Brothers. Is I was like at one point in time I can remember thinking like this was like not when it was brand new. This was like a couple years later. I bet I would be like, I wonder what my high score is, and then I wonder if I could beat it. And I even remember going through and like, okay, well, if I do this, that would actually kind of raise it a little bit or something. But like I was kind of formulating stuff like that, but I wasn't like I didn't still completely understand the concept, but
Yeah, it's funny
per
with like
se,
Mario Brothers and stuff. As a kid, I remembered having a score, but I also really didn't. I remember nobody talked about a score in that game. It was more, oh,
yeah,
did you beat to Bowser, or did you find the, when you first found out about warp pipes and stuff? Because don't I don't ever remember reading the manual, and maybe it talked about them in the manual, but if it did, it didn't tell you how to get there and all that. I mean,
no, no,
but I do distinctly remember, and I don't think that we, and again, it's well known now, but like wall jumping, or we call it wall walking. But one time somebody accidentally jumped into a wall and hit the button at the right time and jumped off the side of the wall, got up higher than you expected you could do, thought you were
yeah,
gonna fall in a pit and you hit jump again. You just hit it just right. Of course, speedrunners use that all the time now. It has to do with subpixels and all this stuff. But I remember we called it wall walking, and I remember hearing it from two kids that are like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I did one last night. It's like, how do you do it? And it's like, oh, you got to just run in the wall and hit jump. And it's like, and people would do that, and it just wouldn't work. Most of the time, it wouldn't work the first time, or the second, or the third. So you're like, oh, you're lying, or and then all of a sudden you do it, and then like, how did I do that?
Yeah. Well,
Later,
I
I know
think.
it was published in like game magazines, maybe even Nintendo Power, but like I didn't know anybody who had Nintendo Power. Um,
Oh, I
er,
did.
early on, later
Oh,
I found out about it. But
you know, now that you say that, I think the only way that I ever learned about the warp tunnels was from um a friend playing. He was over. He was one of those things where he came over for a sleepover, and he's like, "Hey," he's like, "Did you know this?" And he showed me, and it was like, "Whoa," you know. And
yeah,
then it's like, I wonder what other levels have it. So then we go through and try and figure.
well, yeah. I mean, I think everybody eventually went through that revelation, but I can distinctly remember Mario Brothers with that, and then again like the wall jumps and wall again. We call it wall walk because there were some places like, I wonder what happens if you just get up there, or can you even get up there? Because again, like the warp tunnel, you didn't think you were supposed to be able to get up where the score is and stuff, and
Yeah.
and run along the top there.
No.
Because I can remember, well, and maybe that's where the wall walking thing actually got discovered. Because in World 2-1, I think somebody was like, "How can I get up that high and then get up there?" Because you figured first, you figured out you could break the bricks, but you thought, oh well, they're bricks, you can just break them, that's it, you can't walk up there. But then it's like, oh, in this one area it's like, oh, just get up on top of that brick, then you'd be that platform, you'd be able to get high enough to get up there. And then I remember somebody was trying to jumped into the wall and hit it, and they jumped higher, they went up, and then they're like, tried to do it again, and then they got it again, and then was able to get up there in a fashion.
Yeah.
And then you figured out later in the level, it's like, oh, well, I can just use these elevators. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of other games that kind of had those. I mean, they were built in, but secrets, but just had to know. I mean, I think Zelda had a lot of that, but and again, I mostly just ever watched people play that because that was just epic of a game. And I remember playing it, but
Yeah.
again, because I didn't own it, I couldn't get too
Well, and
far.
that game, I remember, I enjoyed playing it, but I didn't understand what was going on, and I only kind of know now. I mean, obviously, I haven't watched the whole playthrough of it. I don't know exactly everything that needs to go on, but like, man, there's a lot to that game that I didn't know.
Oh, well, that's it. And well, going back to our previous conversation, that's one in I can remember about 2008, 2009. I remember sitting in the back office watching it on my lunch, watching over days on my lunch. Some guy, because that's when YouTube was limiting videos to 10 minutes, as people were
Uh,
uploading full like TV shows and stuff and animes. So they were like, "Wow, well, to crack down on this, it's just like, well, no videos over 10 minutes." So this guy had a whole playthrough broken up in 10-minute increments. So, it was like 30 something videos or whatever. And
yeah.
I'd watch it 10 minutes at a time. But that was another thing is like, I, yeah, there's so many things you have to do and get, and then get them at the right time, and know where and when to use them. There's a lot of dead end stuff, and there's almost places where you can get yourself trapped if you run out of bombs, or you something, or you'll just have to
Yeah.
reset your last save or whatever. Yeah, I
You
remember
know,
watching
you
that
know
one
another.
back in the day, and I marveled at just this guy's walkthrough and everything. I was like, my God, I didn't know that there was that much to this game.
Yeah. You know, another one that was like that I didn't understand, and I always played it, and I always had a lot of fun playing it, but I didn't understand what all you needed for the actual game is Castlevania or some of the Castlevanias.
Oh yeah,
Because there's also a lot of like you need to buy this or you need to go get
yep.
this
You got to
and
stock up on hearts and buy this and that. Yeah,
hearts and holy water and it's like, man, I didn't know that. Not till now, like watching like Angry Video Game Nerd and some of the other
well, well,
other
specifically with
ones.
Castlevania, because I was aware of the game, but again, I only knew one person that had it, and we almost never played it because mostly because it was a game too, and it just there was so much to it. But yeah, some of that, like you got to crouch and wait for that. I mean, I didn't even know that that was a existed. Um,
Yeah.
Transport you to the next place or whatever, which apparently it told you in Nintendo Power, but would have had to have that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We owned almost every version of it, but that was a game that my dad was into, so he knew I don't know if he knew I was into it enough that I would be like, okay, well I can play that, but I'm like I had fun playing them, but I was like I didn't understand what was going on. But and so it's like something that maybe both of us would play at least or what the deal was, but
yeah. I remember the games I liked the most were again Mario's. Um, and I did kind of like Punch Out. It was hard, but then it was kind of more well. Excite Bike I did really like.
yeah, so did I.
And then some of the other racing games like uh, well, I never really thought Rad Racer was that great. Was, now I might be plating Super Nintendo with NES, but was uh, Top Gear on NES? It might have only been it might have been on SNES because I I really like Top Gear 2 for some and always like that. It's a very
Yeah.
simplistic racing game. But there was another one on well, other than RC Program, that was pretty fun. I guess I kind of liked it because or thought it was neat because it's like you're playing as you're racing RC cars, not race cars like you'd think.
Well, they were RC cars, but they were kind of small, but you could kind of see the whole track and everything,
Yeah.
and it the scale didn't necessarily. They could have been full size cars. The scale of it didn't really matter.
Well, no, but I mean RC, and then of course they had the little antennas on top. But I
Yeah,
just liked it because it seemed like a fast game, like because the only other racing games like on Atari are not great. I mean, Activision's Enduro is very good, but that's a I hesitate to call it a racing game because it's a racing game, but it's an endurance game. It really is because it's about passing a set amount of cars in a in-game 24-hour period. You go through night and go through day, night, fog, snow, rain, and it just gets harder and harder and harder. But you just keep going, and then there's the port of pole position, which it's faithful, but I never even really liked pole position in the arcade because it was kind of too hard, and the 2600 version is pretty faithful in that it's pretty hard too. Like I could only get to like the second track or what.
yeah,
Didn't really play that one much, and yeah, there's Night Driver, which was fun enough, but again, it was kind of like Enduro in the fact of it's just an endurance game. It's just about how many cars can you can you pass without certain time limit? Either a time limit or until you crash too many something. I can't remember. It's one. I think it's not. No, it's a time limit. Then what other race? Yeah, there wasn't a lot, but guess you could kind of. Well, there's Indy 500. That one was actually that one was pretty. Honestly, it's like a spiritual grandfather to RC Pro-Am. To be honest, because you just see the whole track and you drive your cars around it. It's 2-player. Can be a 2-player game, or no, it can be up to a. No, the driving controllers don't. So no, it can be a 2-player game. That's kind of. And there were some other ones that I didn't have till later, like Sprint. I guess there's Street Racer, but I hesitate to call that a racing game. It's timed, and it's all about just the different game variations are like either collect things and time manner or go through gates or dodge cars. Same. But it doesn't feel like racing because you just move back and forth at the bottom of this. You actually use the paddle controllers. It's like honestly, it's a in a weird way, it's almost like a version of Pong, except for you're avoiding the ball. Trying to think of some of the other games. Yeah, I like Zelda just because it was kind of like talking about Raiders of the Lost Ark on Atari. It was just so cryptic and seemed mystical, and that's what I liked about Zelda. But also, it was. I remember, kid, I played it. Had the map that came. He had like the map out of. I think he eventually got Nintendo Power, so he had that and other things. And it's like, man, this is big. Kind of like, how am I going to remember where I am?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I got lost in that. Like literally lost. Like, where am I? Kind of lost. How would I ever find a dungeon? How would I ever find a cave where you can buy something? Now, there's so many coming to mind. I mean, I played a lot of Super Nintendo too, because again, when that came out, friends they upgraded their consoles anytime.
Oh,
Pretty much. I mean,
so the Super Nintendo that we had, it wasn't mine. My mom bought it for my dad for Valentine's Day. It was a Valentine's slash because his birthday was around Valentine's Day too, so it was a Valentine's slash birthday present. And then the funny thing, well, I don't know if it was funny, but it was the day it got delivered was it was the whiteout actually in the 90s.
Okay. Oh, I remember.
And
I remember. I know exactly what you're
and
about.
so I got as far back as my grandparents' house, but I couldn't get home. Or I didn't. I got to a point where it's like I don't think I feel safe driving anymore. I'm gonna stay here at my grandparents. And my mom was, because she was working at BD, got stuck in Holdridge. So my dad called. She called my dad to let him know that she wasn't coming home, and he goes, he's like, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, by the way, there's this package that just showed up today," and he's like, "Do you know anything about it?" And she goes, "I it had to have been really close to his birthday," but she goes, "Yeah," she goes, "I suppose because you're kind of home alone and stuff and everything, she goes, well, that's your birthday / Valentine's present, and so you can go ahead and open it. So when I got home the next day, he had it opened, hooked up, and was playing it.
Well, that is kind of fun. Did you and I got to thinking, okay, now we're into like 16-bit era and stuff. Did you know anybody that had a Genesis and play any Genesis games? Because I
um,
did.
20 was the only one that had a Genesis.
Okay, because I did. I got to play some, and then I'm forgetting a CD or no, it's Genesis, not the okay, the Mega Drive. Actually, before that. Well, but I remember playing the Genesis, and was one game I remember playing a lot was uh Vander Holyfield's box,
Hmm.
and I swear that was that a CD? Yes, a CD.
I wouldn't know.
But anyway, played that a lot, and then even Jack Nichols's golf. We played that. I played that a lot. Actually, for some reason, that one was kind of, you know, I'd never played another. Well, I did play golf. Well, and I owned Atari's miniature golf, and those are terrible. I don't even
Yeah.
know how you call those golf, but again, I guess given the limitations, it's sort of golf. But anyway, NES's golf, was like Jack Nichols's golf was kind of fun. Well, I think the reason why I found it fun is because the physics were pretty much there in the way you set your swing and you aimed and stuff, and the graphics were, I mean, pretty realistic. I mean, they were that era of kind of graphics. And it's like, yeah, you can definitely tell, that's the clubhouse, and that's rough grass, and that's mowed grass, and that's the green, and this up and all that stuff. But I remember because you could it was a little bit it was a little bit like if you were playing golf out here in this game. You could pretty much hit the ball anywhere in the golf course wanted to. I mean, if you just
Uh-huh.
you just want like one thing we ended up doing is see if we could see, because the clubhouse was literally just decoration. Didn't Your character, you didn't walk into the, and you couldn't just walk everywhere, but you could go walk around a small area wherever your ball landed, because you had to line it
Mm.
up. You had to move your character to line it up.
Yeah.
So we were like, wonder if we could golf our way to the clubhouse and then hit the. Could you hit the clubhouse? Could you, like? I swear we thought we could like break a window in the house. That's what we were thinking we could do or we're gonna do. So like we were purposely just using drivers the whole way down the course to get to areas where you really weren't supposed, where you really weren't supposed to go. I mean, we would be
Uh-huh.
way off in the trees and stuff, and we found the boundaries of the courses pretty quickly, because the programmers are like, okay, we're not gonna make you're gonna mulligan if you hit the ball this far off of the quote map. But we got so you could see the clubhouse, and it was in the background, and we got it so you could get almost really right up close to it, and then I just took a one wood and just hit it, um with full power, and it
Uh-huh.
it hit the, and I was aiming for, there was a window there, and I was aiming for that. Well, it hit the clubhouse, and rather than just, doing nothing or whatever, no, the ball bounced off, ricocheted, and went backwards down the fairway, like in the correct direction. So either they programmed it to, okay, if somebody was going to do this, we're just going to throw the ball back onto where you're supposed to be playing. I mean, yeah. I mean, that was the kind of things when we got really bored we'd do is like, well, where can we break the game, or find these
Yeah,
little stupid secrets, Of course, it's like now a game like with these PC games like this, you get your tractor clips into the scenery or something. That's like not that neat anymore because it's like that's just par for the course on games
yeah.
today.
Um, Speaking of, so Genesis, I think we've kind of talked about this before, but um, so we got together with Swanson's quite a bit, and if they came over to our house, John would want to play the Nintendo, and then if I was over at their house, or if we went over to their house, then him and I would play Sega. Because we had the opposite, and then it was also one of those things like, well, he'd be so engrossed into the Nintendo, or I'd be so engrossed into the Sega, but the person that owned it would be like, well, I have this. I'm like, and you're playing it, and I can't play it, so you'd just be kind of bored and
Yeah. Well, that's
doing
why
other things
we
on
we
your own or something.
yeah. Well, that's why we tried to play two-player games, and that's probably why the Jack
We
Nicklaus.
did a little bit, but that only goes so far too, especially when you own the game and you've played it so many
Yeah, you're
times.
really good. Well,
And
that's
you're trying to be nice, so you're like trying to play whatever they want to play, but it's like they pick the game that you've played a million times already.
yeah. Well, that's the thing with maybe that's part of why Jack Nicklaus Golf was like one we played a lot because even though he owned it, he didn't play it a lot, and it had a certain skill level that it wasn't like you could just master it, because like the wind and the conditions and stuff were different every time you played. So
Uh-huh.
so there was there was no clear advantage. So when we would play, not to try and like screw around and hit the clubhouse, it was we'd actually see who could get the lowest score, that kind of. And same with like I specifically remember Vander Holy boxing. Uh, Granted, he would play the story mode, I guess you'd say, and would be could be decent at that. But then playing a second player is a second human's a lot different. So we do that, and it only take a little bit. And we played it enough that I got good enough that it wasn't like he had any sort of advantage just because he had the game and played it all, or could
Yeah.
play it all the time. Other than the Sonic games, I can't remember any other distinct games. And really, the Sonic games just Sonic One, and I think whatever the next one was with Tails. I think as far as the Sonic games go, is all I've had experience with Sega
Yeah.
stuff. Um,
Well, that was the I
oh, hang
that's
on,
the game.
hang on, which was a motorcycle racing game. Do
Oh,
remember
I
playing that. Of course, that was also an arcade game, and I remember get to go to arcades, especially here. I'd plug quarters into that, just because it was one of the first ones where you sat on the motorcycle and did and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And and Radmobile, because you sat in the car and it kind of was like a pseudo motion simulator. It rocked side to side and stuff. The monitor in the car with you, kind of thing. And that was a Sega game. it wasn't as fun on console with a controller though. You needed the steering wheel and pedals because it was a first person look.
Mm-hmm. No, we played mainly Sonic, but that was because I always you saw the commercials for it, and that's what I wanted to play all the time. Because got to see what what this is all about, what all the hype was about.
Well, yeah, the blast processing or whatever. It just it looks so fast.
I don't remember that so much.
Well,
I just
it.
I do what I do remember is I remember I thought the graphics looked so much better though.
Oh yeah. Well, that until well, really until Super Nintendo and F-Zero. That that is probably one of my, and it's honestly such a simple game. Probably one of right up there on some of my favorite Super Nintendo games.
Yeah.
And that's another one now I like to watch, like speed runs or tool assisted, because like some of those tracks can be so broken. Like you can jump across tracks, or you can jump to other tracks that are within the same game program. You're never meant to see them, but you can get to them. Like the next version of that track that's in a higher like class or cup.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff I didn't know, would have never known back then. But that was one. It just seemed like you were just going so. They made the illusion of speed so good that it was like you really felt like you're doing like 500 miles, whatever it says you're going, and just the whole futuristic aspect of it,
Yeah.
and the music. I guess that's another thing. Music, sound. I would have bought that on tape or CD if it was available at that time. I have to remind to have this little bit of conversation when Juan's with us again, just give his take on it, and because honestly, I don't know
Yeah.
what his gaming history is, and honestly, I don't remember him being that much of a gamer when I back. I guess
I
because
do.
when we got together, we weren't at anybody's house necessarily, other than your
No.
apartment later. But we were usually on to Jets or just cruising for chicks.
Yeah.
So
No,
we
I
weren't thinking
like
gaming.
um yeah, no, he him and I used to play games all the time together. Growing up, that is.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, I guess.
Well, it's thinking about it. Like I think Joe. I don't remember. Joe probably did have a game system, and I just don't remember what it was. But I remember him coming to over to my house and playing on my system or um.
See, and that's the thing. I never saw Joe as you know.
Well, and some so
I mean, Sean,
just
yes, because we used to game uh together
well
in high school.
Justin Triner you wouldn't think he was a gamer either or anything. And I wouldn't necessarily say that he was a gamer, but he would come over to my house and especially um especially when I was in college and stuff. Before I moved to Kearney, and we played a lot of football, NCAA football and
Oh,
stuff. He liked it because he could beat me at it until that was when I had the PlayStation. Until I took the game with me to college and kind of figured it out that week, and then when I came back the next weekend, it was like he couldn't beat me anymore. And then after that, he's like he didn't want to play me anymore. He wanted to play on the same team.
oh, okay.
As long as he was beating me, he had no problem playing against me. But as soon as I figured out how to play it.
Yeah, I guess you know what. Speaking of that, sports games were not big. Uh, you know, Tecmo Bowl, NES, and Tecmo Super Bowl. I mean, yeah, I learned to play those decent enough, but it's never really got into those sports games. And same, I got a bunch. You know, of course, I got a bunch of them on the Atari, and some of them are obviously because of limitations are better than others. But like, I never really played those much. The only one I probably played the most is basketball, but it's just kind of a one-on-one. About all you can do with the Atari, but
Yeah.
it was kind of fun in that respect, the one-on-one aspect. I like the football one, not great, but again, other than the NES stuff, I kind of think Super NES, probably some of the first add-ins, but just I don't know. That just I can see how it could be fun for people to fan it, like fantasy football, get to control everything. So I understand why people like it. I just seemed tedious. I mean, as they got into the 2000s and stuff, where the graphics really started getting good. Of course, like now, it's like, yeah, it's like amazing. It's like watching. It can be like almost watching a.
Hmm.
I wouldn't want to play it too. I mean, it's a simulation, and it's just kind of like The
Well,
Sims. There's too much there. I mean, this you can kind of this game can be too much, but you don't have to engage all that. Whereas like the football ones, you kind of have to play them. And I never. Well, NBA Jam. There we go. That was on. Well, I mean, it was on a bunch of things, but I remember playing that specifically on uh, on Sega Genesis. I think it was the Super Nintendo. Well, I don't know. I think it was one of the good versions of that. It had all the teams. It had all the voices and all that. Well, like the arcade. Never played it much in the arcade. Mostly that kind of game seemed pointless to orders.
yeah. No, I was always the arcade was more for the games that I could never play that I had a lot of fun playing. I got done with my side.
Okay, well, I'm done over here. I kind of weave through the trees up. Yeah, other than that, I think, or well, I might have a patch.
I didn't go through the rocks.
Oh, I just weaved like a pass or two, just get over there. Yeah, like I'm doing now. Just yes. Oh yeah, I got a strip or two.
um, let's see. I was just sitting here thinking, okay, so over on my side, right off our farm, I was kind of where I was thinking of adding a building to kind of grow the rest of our stuff, and the I'll have to figure out how to I'll have to look up how to do the grapes, but we'll do the grapevines
Yeah, I
over
mean,
there.
figure that
But
out.
I
That
was uh,
I
but I
just
was thinking, this strip on this side, maybe after we get done with this year, or get done with the soybeans this year, we'll have to run this field further up, maybe
oh yeah.
kind of extend it up a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and depending on how big a vineyard we want, which I don't think we need a lot, but the grapes should be, not take up a lot of space.
No, they don't. They don't. From what I do remember, you put them in rows, and we they put them if it's like they've got certain tractors and stuff they use for them, but you're not like, since we're putting them in our rows, we could probably go as wide as we want to and stuff. And I
Right.
don't I don't know if I plan on how
Well,
many I
see,
plan on
and I
doing.
wonder, you know, what what mechanized picking and such do you need? I guess, or how does that work? I guess I just thought it was odd or kind of neat that on the regular map they had a had just had them out there in a barn.
Yeah. Um.
Because I think, yeah, it's kind of just straight catty corner off this way toward past
It's
the
over in 30. It was over in 33.
something like man. Oh, 30. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, I'm facing the wrong. I thought it was. Well, yeah, no, you're right. I'm looking at the map. Okay, yeah, you're right. But yeah, maybe, maybe. Well, yeah. So
I
you're
was
saying,
thinking right here would
saying
be maybe the
extend this field out, and then where were you thinking about
yeah,
putting them? I see.
the the grapes we'll
Yeah.
put over here,
Okay,
and then
that makes sense.
somewhere up here is where the I'll put another building.
Yeah, that'd be good. Maybe near the like in between here because it's
Yeah.
not usable because there's not a lot of usable
um,
space because road and everything. Okay,
Yep.
sort of makes. Yeah, okay,
We'll just
that.
kind of extend the farm out that way.
Yeah, no, I like putting them here because yeah, this. I think what? No, there's this little island. It's like what can we do over here other than decoration? Made a bridge, and then Tucker parks the equipment over there. You like this barn? that on my map.
Which the big barn?
Yeah.
And see, that's base games, so you have it in your.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't have this water tower. No. Or yeah.
You should.
Yeah, and then there's some other like over here is not these type of silos, but some other one.
No. Yeah, the silos that the farm came with.
Okay. You know what? That's interesting. The texturing, like the wear on the plow and stuff, is different on each one of them. That's actually kind of.
Well, the one in the middle is brand new.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, is that I didn't know they went to that level of these modders, that level of detail. Yeah, this
Well,
paints.
they have wear on them, yeah.
I know, but they're worn different. They wear differently. Like
Oh.
like I'm looking at these furrow these wheels up front here, and
Mm-hmm.
they they each have different a different wear pattern, which I mean that's like attention to detail that only I would care
Oh.
about. Well, I suppose it's been about it's 2 hours and 16 minutes. That's how long we've been. Probably long enough. We got quite a bit done
Yeah.
actually. Field opened up, got more grass that we can pick up and plant next time. We can a couple other different things. All right.